I was lying in a hospital bed with a fractured skull, broken ribs, a torn spleen, and tubes running out of me like I was part machine. And still, the only thing I wanted was to see my parents walk through that door. Not because I thought they'd bring flowers, or cry, or say they were sorry, but because deep down, like a fool, I believed they'd come because they were supposed to, because I was their daughter, because I almost died. The accident happened on a Tuesday night just past 11. I was driving home from my shift at the coffee shop, exhausted, running on fumes. The light turned green, and I barely got through the intersection when a drunk driver slammed into my driver's side at 68 miles per hour. The impact flipped my car twice. They had to cut me out with the jaws of life. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are watching this video. I remember flashes, blood in my eyes, a siren that wouldn't stop, a paramedic squeezing my hand and saying, "Stay with me." Then nothing. I woke up 3 days later in ICU, alone. I thought maybe they didn't know yet, that they hadn't been notified, that the hospital made a mistake. But when I asked the nurse, she blinked. "Oh no, sweetheart. We called them the night you came in. They said they were busy but would try to stop by." I blinked back. "Busy?" She nodded slowly, her lips tightening. "They said they'd call later in the week." Later in the week, I had been on the edge of death, and they were penciling me in like a dentist appointment. Jordan, my best friend since 6th grade, showed up every day. He brought me water when my throat was raw, helped me to the bathroom when I could finally stand, charged my phone, combed my hair, even handled the nurses when they got too cold. And every day he asked me, "Still no word from them?" And every day I forced a smile and said, "Maybe tomorrow." But tomorrow never came. 5 days in, my breathing was easier. The stitches above my eyebrow itched. I was being moved out of ICU, and still, no sign of them. Then, on the 7th day, as I lay in recovery watching sunlight paint lines across the ceiling tiles, my phone buzzed. It was a message from my mom. "Glad to hear you're stable. We won't make it to the hospital. Your sister needs help prepping for her shopping trip. She has that big New York thing coming up, remember? Priorities. Heal fast." 6. I stared at the screen for so long I thought my brain would shut down. Not even a call, not even a "we're sorry," just a text, and a smiley face. My sister Mackenzie was flying to New York for some fashion internship she got through a friend of a friend. The shopping spree was her reward for finishing the semester. She needed new shoes, bags, coats, everything that says Manhattan, according to my mom. Apparently, that ranked higher than her other daughter almost dying. I didn't reply. Jordan saw my face, picked up my phone without asking, read the message, and let out a low whistle. That's cold, even for them. But I didn't cry. I just turned my head to the window and said quietly, "I think that was the moment I stopped being their daughter." When I was discharged, no one picked me up. Jordan took a day off work and borrowed his cousin's car to drive me home. I still couldn't lift my arms above shoulder level. He carried me up the stairs to my apartment. He unpacked my meds, made me soup, and slept on the couch for 3 nights, just to be sure I didn't pass out in the shower. Meanwhile, I saw my parents' social media posts. My dad had posted a smiling photo of Mackenzie outside a boutique with the caption, "Helping my girl take on New York in style." My mom posted a video of them clinking champagne flutes at some hotel. Nothing like a little family time before our baby starts her big city life. I wasn't tagged in any of them. I wasn't even mentioned. I lay there with bandages on my ribs, a half-healed skull fracture, and legs that still trembled when I stood too fast, and realized something ugly. I could have died, and they would have just posted a black square and called it a tough week. When I finally felt strong enough to walk to the mailbox, I found a card from them. Not a get-well card, not even a thinking of you. It was a birthday card for Mackenzie. It had accidentally been sent to my address. Inside, in my mother's looping handwriting, "We are so proud of you, sweet girl. Keep shining. We'll always be right behind you. Love, Mom and Dad." Right behind her, right behind her. And I realized they'd never stood behind me. Not once. They hadn't been there when I got into college, Not when I paid for my own tuition working nights and weekends. Not when I moved into a cheap apartment alone. Not when I got my first job. Not even when I almost died. They had picked their favorite. And it wasn't me. That night, I looked at myself in the mirror and said out loud, "You don't need them." And for the first time, I believed it. But just because I didn't need them, didn't mean I'd forget. No, I wouldn't scream. I wouldn't cry. I wouldn't even confront them. I'd do something better, something they'd never see coming, something they'd never recover from. Because when someone shows you what they love most, that's when you learn where to strike. I didn't plot revenge in some dramatic movie-style montage. There was no lightning storm, no midnight schemes. It started quietly, like a slow boil. The thing about being the ignored child is, you learn to observe. You learn how people operate, what they hide, what they brag about. And over the years, I had absorbed everything my parents tried to make me overlook. Like how my dad always complained about paying taxes and then laughed about having certain accounts under Mackenzie's name to keep his books clean. Or how my mom ran her small business. That was really just reselling luxury items gifted to Mackenzie by her corporate boyfriends through a side LLC they never officially declared. I didn't say anything then because it didn't matter. I wasn't part of the operation. I was just background noise. But now, I was about to become the echo that shattered every wall. I started with Mackenzie. She was still in New York, posting selfies with overpriced coffee cups, posing on crosswalks like she was in a Vogue spread. I watched, waited, and gathered. Screenshots, captions, geotags. One post in particular caught my attention, a Cartier bracelet she said she'd earned from her new mentor. I knew for a fact it was bought with the credit card still linked to my dad's clean account. The one he had set up in Mackenzie's name when she was 16 and good with aesthetics. It was technically her card, but his income. And he used it for everything he didn't want to explain to the IRS. I didn't hack anything. I didn't break any laws. I just reported what I saw, anonymously. Photos, names, account details, matching public posts, a trail of designer receipts that didn't match reported income. And then I flagged the LLC my mom used to resell handbags as a side hustle. Turns out, you're not supposed to write off international shopping trips as inventory sourcing when you never filed the proper import papers. I didn't do it out of spite. I did it because they had taken something from me that I would never get back. The chance to believe my family would protect me. They had made their priorities clear. Now, I was making mine. Jordan was the only one who knew what I was doing. He didn't ask questions. He just quietly slid his laptop across the table one night and said, "Use mine. Less traceable." And he brought me coffee and cinnamon scones like I was studying for a test, instead of unraveling my parents' entire financial safety net. It took about 3 weeks before the cracks started showing. I got a call from my mom, the first one since I left the hospital. "Hey, honey," she said, voice way too chirpy. "Quick question. Did you, talk to anyone about our taxes? Or like, Mackenzie's credit card stuff?" I leaned back in my chair. "Why?" "Oh, no reason," she laughed, nervous and high-pitched. "We just got this weird letter from the IRS. Random audit. Probably nothing. Just weird timing, huh?" I smiled. "Super weird." She paused. "How's your recovery going?" "I'm walking fine now," I said. "Headaches are less frequent." Another pause. "We really wanted to visit, you know." "No, you didn't." Silence. For the first time in my life, she had nothing to say. A few days later, Mackenzie posted a selfie with the caption, "Some people just love tearing others down, but karma's real, babe." It had been taken in her dorm's bathroom, not a penthouse, not a cafe. And her bracelet was missing. Over the next month, it spiraled. My dad's business license got flagged. My mom's fake business was audited. Mackenzie's card got frozen. Her internship mentor mysteriously cut ties. They didn't know what was happening. They suspected everyone. Everyone except the person they never saw coming. Me. I wasn't angry. Not anymore. I was calm. Surgical. Every step I took was measured, quiet, invisible, the same way they'd treated me my whole life. Then came the part I didn't plan. A lawyer reached out to me. He said he was representing an estate I didn't recognize. My maternal grandmother's best friend, a woman I had only met twice, had passed, and in her will, she left me a cabin. Just me. No one else. She said you were the only one with any decency, the lawyer told me. Said she saw how they treated you. She hoped this would give you peace. It was small, hidden in the mountains. But it was mine. I sold everything, moved quietly, didn't leave a forwarding address. Jordan came with me. He left his job, said he could freelance anywhere. He said, "You've protected everyone your whole life. Let someone protect you now." We built a life in silence, the kind of silence that heals. And then, 6 months later, I got a message from Mackenzie. A simple DM. "Are you happy now?" I didn't reply. I just blocked her, because the answer was yes. And the truth? She didn't deserve to know it. Winter in the mountains has a way of making silence sound alive. Every gust of wind whispers through the trees like someone remembering your name. By then, the bruises on my ribs were gone. The scar above my eyebrow had faded into a thin silver line, and my nightmares about that night, the headlights, the crash, the spinning, had finally stopped. Peace had a sound now, the hum of the kettle, Jordan laughing while chopping wood, the creak of the porch under the weight of snow. My parents' voices had vanished from my life, and for a while I thought that was the end of it. But the universe, it's funny about timing. One morning, the mailman hiked up the snowy trail to our cabin, red-cheeked and panting. "Got something for you," he said, handing me a thick envelope with my parents' return address. The handwriting was shaky, not my mother's elegant cursive, my father's rigid print. I almost tossed it straight into the fire, but something made me open it. Inside was a letter. No apologies, no warmth, just desperation. "They've frozen everything. Mackenzie's accounts, ours. We might lose the house. She's not speaking to us anymore. Blames us for ruining her life. Your mother's sick with worry. We need help. You've always been the responsible one. If there's anything you can do..." There was no love, Dad. No, "we miss you." Just, "we need help." They hadn't even noticed that every word they wrote confirmed exactly who they'd always been. Takers, not parents. I read it 3 times. Then I folded it neatly and tucked it into a drawer I never opened again. That night, as the fire flickered and snow fell in slow, quiet waves, I finally told Jordan everything. Not just about the accident, but about the years before. The neglect, the favoritism, the insults dressed as jokes. The way they made me feel invisible until I stopped needing to be seen. When I finished, he didn't say, "You did the right thing." He didn't say, "They deserved it." He just said, "You're free now." And that was the truth I'd never realized. Revenge isn't always about destruction. Sometimes it's about erasure, removing yourself so completely from their world that their guilt has nowhere to land but inside themselves. Months passed. Then one day, a small headline popped up online when I was checking the weather. "Local boutique owner files for bankruptcy after audit scandal." It was my mother. A few clicks later, "Small businessman loses contracts amid tax investigation." My father. And beneath it, an article about a former fashion intern whose scholarship was revoked after financial inconsistencies. Mackenzie. They'd lost everything they built on lies. Not because I screamed or exposed them, but because the truth always crawls back to the surface, no matter how much money or arrogance you bury it under. I didn't feel joy reading it, just a stillness, like the sound after a storm when the world finally exhales. Weeks later, a familiar number appeared on my phone. I almost ignored it, but curiosity got the better of me. I answered. Silence at first, then my mother's voice, small, thin, trembling. "Sweetheart, we lost everything. Your father's sick. Mackenzie's gone. She moved out and won't talk to us. We're alone." I said nothing. Her breath hitched. "You're all we have left." That sentence was the most honest thing she'd ever said, because it was true. I was all they had left, and that's exactly what I took from them. Then maybe, I said softly, you finally understand how I felt. And I hung up. Outside, snow was falling again, the kind of snow that buries everything old, leaving behind only what's untouched. Jordan came up behind me, wrapped his arms around my shoulders, and whispered, "You okay?" I nodded. "Yeah, for the first time. I think I am." The fire crackled. The letter in the drawer turned to ash in my mind. And somewhere, miles away, my parents sat in the dark, realizing what it felt like to be unseen, unheard, unchosen. I didn't destroy them. I just made sure they lived long enough to understand what they'd created. And that was everything they'd never recover from. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where you're watching this video.